And that, my friends, is called a winning streak. It's very, very cool. Let's not get crazy here. The Orlando Magic win their third straight game, and boy, do they look good doing it. What this team has figured out, and what more is to come. It's time for Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is December 12th, 2022. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic pick up their third straight win. Wow. We'll talk about how the Magic did it, why this game Sunday against the Toronto Raptors was so unique, and what this means for the team moving forward. We'll get to all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for. The Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day. Today's episode is also brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. They made this point throughout the course of the Magic's broadcast on Bally Sports Florida, but the Toronto Raptors are a team that likes to muck things up. They like to throw a lot of junk defenses at you, and I don't think that's entirely the case. I think Toronto looks for ways to deploy their length as their strength and look for ways to kind of disrupt offenses and disrupt your process. The Raptors lead the league in turnovers forced. They lead the league in points off turnovers. They lead the league in fast break points. Their whole strategy is to be disruptive and pesky defensively so that they can power their offense in transition. They are a team that punishes you for every mistake you make. And you heard me say this last week when the Magic played the Raptors in Toronto. You heard me say this as we got ready for these two games over the weekend. This is a matchup that is not good for Orlando. This is a young team that makes a lot of mistakes, that turns the ball over a ton, that can get easily flustered because, they're Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony are back in the fold for sure, but they're still getting their legs under them. And they're not, like elite point guards anyway. This is a Magic team that is tailor-made to do all the things the Raptors are really good at. And so if I'm sitting here on a Monday beaming, it's because this young team made a lot of mistakes in both these games against the Raptors. But this is a young team that overcame all of that to not only win once, and Friday's win was fantastic, but Sunday's win over the Raptors, a 111-99 victory, might be the best game this team has played all year. I know the Charlotte game was fun. I know the Phoenix game was fun. This was as complete and gritty of an effort that this team has put up all year. And that, to me, deserves some recognition. Or it deserves that understanding of what this team is trying to be. You hear me say this all the time. The regular season is about what you can do on your worst day. What was impressive to me about Sunday was the Magic were not at their best. They fouled a ton. They had to play a dirty, ugly game where they couldn't shoot the ball. And yet, they stayed very committed to their game plan. They kept grinding and kind of just going through that mill, just trying to find some little pocket. And they found those pockets. Whether it's, Franz hitting a couple shots in the third quarter, whether it was Mo Bamba hitting some big shots in the second and the fourth. And they found the pockets where they could just inch ahead. And then their defense stayed solid enough to keep the Raptors from coming back. They made mistakes, sure. There were turnovers plenty. There was a lot of fouling. There's a lot of reasons for this Magic team to get frustrated. But it showed a lot of maturity not to. A maturity that I don't think we could expect this team to have at this stage of the season. Coming off a 9-game losing streak, as recently as they have, as young as they are. This game showed a maturity that this team is trying to get to, but showed really for the first time. Look, this was an ugly, ugly game. This is a game that only a basketball fan could love. Because there were a lot of missed shots. There was a lot of fouling. It was a disjointed game completely. And while, Raptors fans probably do have a gripe that their best player, Pascal Siakam, was in foul trouble for most of the game, this game was played exactly how Toronto wanted it played. They love these kinds of games. They want the rhythm of fast break points, but they want something to happen that will frustrate their young opponents, that will frustrate teams that have these flaws that they can take advantage of. The time and time again, Orlando broke it. Whether it was they're trying to trap Franz Wagner on screen and rolls. Franz just calmly absorbed the pressure, passed it to Mo Bamba in the middle, and trusted his teammate to make good decisions. And Mo Bamba made a lot of good decisions in this one. Scored a lot of points, made some nice passes. The Magic had that playing beat. They could not speed Orlando up. They could not get them to make those repeated mistakes that they could just hammer home every single time, like they did Friday night when they came back, like they've done against this team so many times before, and like they've done to so many other teams. The Magic played with the poise and maturity of a team that has the confidence that it's going to win. And when Toronto made their last push, getting the lead down to 7, I think they got it down to 5 or 4 at one point, Paolo Banchero hit big shots. Over tough defense, but big shots. The kind of shots that we drafted Paolo Banchero to hit to put this game away. As Franz Wagner said immediately after the game on Bally Sports Florida, we won this game because of our defense. The 111 doesn't impress me as much as the 99. Because Orlando was solid defensively. Yeah, they fouled too much. But they contested shots. They rotated really well. Their defensive rotations have been on point of late. They've really figured some things out. And it's not just a flash in the pan of, they got one game where everything clicked into place. It's that question I've been asking all week long. Can you do it again? Can you do it the next game? Can you build on it for the next game? And that's what we saw from Orlando in this one. The things that they've done well against the Bucks, the things that they did well against the Clippers, the things that they did well against the Raptors, all carried over and kept pushing this team forward. This is a win streak that feels real. Again, the question will be when they lose, and they will lose inevitably. How do they handle that success? Or how do they handle that setback after success? We saw what happened when they had the big wins over Dallas and Phoenix. They hit roadblocks. And then it cascaded. It continued to kind of snowball and build on itself. That's what happens with young teams. And so the Magic now have to figure out how to carry this forward. This part of themselves, this momentum, this style that they've developed. They have to figure out how to carry that forward. Because this was just a stellar game. This was an incredibly fun game. To watch a young team grow up and mature the way they did. Young teams are not supposed to win gritty, dirty games like this. And to me, that is the most encouraging thing. That it took longer than maybe we all wanted to. But that things are starting to pull together. And things are starting to show the growth and progress that we wanted to see. And that's ultimately what this game was. As Jamal Mosley, I think, said after the game, this was about growth. This was about maturity. And yeah, you got to be able to do it 82 times in a year. And there's less than 60 of these left. But the Magic now have that feeling, that good feeling of winning, and what doing things the right way can build. We're going to run through the box score, talk a little bit more about individual performances in this fantastic win. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our pals at Rocket Money. Look, we all have things that we subscribed to long ago and forgot about. They keep showing up on our credit card bills. They keep showing up on our, those subscriptions keep renewing even though we forget about them. Well, that's what Rocket Money is here for. Rocket Money is here to cancel those purchases, those subscriptions that you forgot about. That's why I love using Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. With Rocket Money, this app shows all your subscriptions in one place and cancels what you don't want for you. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may even find out you've been double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Seriously, could save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. If you're an ex-listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast from the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports. Go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. Let's run through the final box score for you real fast as the Orlando Magic defeat the Toronto Raptors 111-99. Like I said, just a fantastic game. Really played at the Magic's pace. They still turn the ball over 18 times for 23 points. That's usually the death sentence for a Magic team against the Raptors. They shoot just 46.8% from the floor. Not a strong percentage, but Orlando kept finding these pockets where they would hit threes, and that was really the difference in the game. I know, crazy, the Magic making threes is the difference in the game. Toronto shoots just 6 for 25 from three. Orlando did a great job spraying out to three-point line. Again, their defense was just really on point. Every player on the Toronto Raptors had a negative plus-minus in this game. That's how dominant this Magic team was. And again, if it weren't for free throws, and there were a lot, we'll dive a little bit into that here in a minute. If it weren't for free throws, this would have been a very easy blowout win. But Orlando shoots 46.8% from the floor overall. 14 for 31 from beyond the arc. Toronto 6 for 25, so there's a big difference there. Orlando does get to the line for 31 free throws, 25 for 31. Toronto 33 for 38. There were 53 total fouls called in this game. The fouling was a little ridiculous. I think the refs the officials just set the tone really poorly, and things just cascaded from there. They just couldn't get out of their own way. Frustrating night on that front for several players and several key players for the Raptors, but Orlando took advantage of it. So, I think both teams had complaints about the officials in this one and the rates of the foul calls, but the Magic were the ones that took advantage of it. Again, you never blame the refs for anything. Both teams have to deal with it. Orlando took advantage and played the better game. They were the better team. And it starts with Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner, 23 points, 6 for 14 shooting, 3 for 5 from deep, 8 for 10 from the foul line, 4 assists for him. Look, he's just really impressive. He did such a good job reading the defense and taking what the defense gives him. What's really impressive about Franz is you don't speed him up. And that's the hallmark of the great players in this league. You don't speed them up. They play at their pace, and you can throw all kinds of junk defenses at them, and they're still going to do their thing. And that's what happened with Franz Wagner. Now, Franz, again, had a slow start offensively. He only had 5 points at the half, but he was still making a huge impact because they were sending double teams to him every time. Every time he ran a screen and roll, they were trying to down him to the wing and trap him on the perimeter. They would blitz those screens, and Franz did a very good job drawing them away, getting space to feed the ball to Mo Bamba, to feed the ball to the center at the free throw line. And again, you get the ball in the middle, all you have to do is make a good decision to attack, a good decision to pass. That's just easy basketball. And Franz made that correct play, that right play, time and time again. And that's not going to show up in the stat sheet. He's not going to get many assists doing that. But he absorbed all the pressure and all the attention really, really well. Put himself in a great spot to make plays for his team. And then in the third and fourth quarter, he scored 18 points in the second half. He got his shot going. He got to the basket a little bit more. He broke that defense down a little bit because Orlando had done the work to set him up. This is how Franz Wagner is going to play. I think we've seen this over the last few games. Teams are going to try and trap him and get the ball out of his hands early. And Franz is going to be so effective breaking that down that he's going to get a lot of points late. We've seen that a lot over the last week. Fourth quarter Franz is a thing. He scores a lot of points in the fourth quarter. He makes a lot of plays in that fourth quarter. He's kind of pushing that along. And again, he's getting star treatment from these defenses. So don't take that for granted. It's been really fun watching him develop, and he's going to continue to get better. Paolo Banchero, too, also just a really nice game. 20 points, 6 for 14 shooting, 6 for 8 from the foul line, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. He did have 4 turnovers. Unlike Franz, Paolo is still learning how to read these defenses because he, too, is getting star treatment. Anytime Paolo Banchero caught the ball in the low post, he immediately saw a double team. And not only did he immediately see a double team, a third defender kind of pushed in behind them to form a little bit of a wall just to keep bodies in his range of view and to challenge him to figure out how to attack it. Paolo made mistakes attacking that. He's not Franz Wagner where he has everything down. And, I think, I made this point, Paolo was struggling with some of the double teams that the Raptors were sending at him. I said, they're going to go in the locker room. They're going to show him that on tape, and he's going to figure it out. And that's exactly what happened. Paolo made smarter plays in the second half, found his shot off the dribble a little bit more, started working on the perimeter a little bit more in a good way, got some spot-up threes, which really helped him get going. He did a lot of really good things, and then he made a couple of really big shots in the fourth quarter to kind of stem any runs and any opportunity for Toronto to climb back into this one. But I need to give a special mention to Paolo Banchero's defense. His defense and rebounding. Over the last 3 games, he has really put a lot of focus and emphasis on being a better rebounder, on doing a better job controlling the glass, getting on the glass. These things that are apparent weaknesses and certainly have looked really bad this year. But he is putting a lot more effort and attention to detail on those ends, and you can see the results. The Magic are getting more fast break opportunities. The Magic are, rebounding a whole lot better. Toronto only has 7 offensive rebounds in this game compared to Orlando's 11. Orlando was better when Paolo was this way. And, this is stuff, again, that isn't the glory stats. That isn't the big things. But these are the kind of sacrifices. These are the kind of plays you have to make if you're going to win. And Paolo Banchero understanding that at this stage, with as good as he's played, understanding that he still has a lot of things to get better at, that he has to put attention to a lot of different things. We'll see how long that attention lasts. He's a 21-year-old rookie. He's, attention's fleeting for young people. They don't 82 games is a long time. You're going to lose your focus on some occasion. But this is a really good sign for him. And again, these 2 games, specifically against Toronto, he did a lot of really good things. And again, you get him downhill, you get him going to the basket. He is really just tough to stop. Once he gets toward the basket, he can finish in creative ways. He can draw fouls. The offense is always going to be there. The defense really coming along these last 3 games, and I think that's really, really special to watch. A couple guys off the bench that played really, really well. Mo Bamba, 18 points, 6 for 6 shooting, 2 for 2 from deep, 4 for 5 from the foul line, 9 rebounds, 2 block shots for him. Like with Paolo Banchero, look, Mo Bamba can hit shots. We know that. He did a really good job finding space around the basket. The Magic did a really good job passing it to him. Had a nice assist from Franz Wagner on a kind of tip pass after Wagner cut to the middle of the lane when Paolo got doubled. Had a nice cut along the baseline, and Bol hit him with a pass that I think surprised Mo a little bit, but Mo was able to corral it and dunk it. Just did a lot of just really good things around the basket. But again, this is about his defense. The reason why the Magic are winning these games is their defense has gotten significantly better. They played one of their best defensive games of the year against the Clippers on Wednesday. They played a really good defensive game Monday against the Bucks. They played, again, the numbers may not show it, but they played a really good defensive game against Toronto on Friday. And this was a defensive masterpiece. This was a really good defensive game for Orlando. Masterpiece probably far, but this was another really good defensive game. One of the better defensive games they played all year. And again, it's Paolo Banchero playing good defense. It's Mo Bamba playing really good defense, blocking shots, changing shots, locking down the glass. It's not necessarily about the stats. It's not getting steals. It's not getting blocks. It's locking down that glass. And, again, I really loved how Orlando played Pascal Siakam. He did have 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, so he still got his numbers. But 4 turnovers, 6 for 16 shooting. Orlando did a really good job keeping him on the perimeter, keeping him in the mid-range area, and making him take tough jumpers. Siakam largely took the shots the Magic wanted him to take. And again, that's a credit to Mo Wagner, who's played some fantastic defense as well. Paolo Banchero took on that challenge as well. Everyone was just really committed to the game plan and their roles in the defense. The rotations are a lot sharper. They're in the right spots more often. They're really fighting for the boards a lot more. Mo Bamba in this game is a testament to that, and a testament to what the Magic were able to do to take that step and to put themselves in a position to win more. Cole Anthony also a solid game, 14 points, 5 for 9 shooting, 1 for 3 from deep, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover for him. Cole's just really solid. I think he's been up and down because he's getting used to this bench role and what he can do and what he needs to do for his team to succeed, but I think he's starting to figure it out. Again, a lot of this win streak is just everyone figuring things out. All the pieces coming into place, all the players beginning to understand what their roles need to be, how they need to help and fill in for each other, what they need to do to win consistently. And again, this is a good feeling. It's something that this team needs to learn. It's something this team needs to feel. It's now about doing it every single night, but we're starting to see, I think, guys really understand, okay, for us to win, I have to do this. Or, if this is happening, I might need to do more of this to fill in that gap. Cole Anthony is a perfect example of that. We all know he's a really good rebounder for a player his size. Really showed that in this game. I thought, again, he will admit he is not a good defender. He's the first person to admit he is not a good defender. He really puts in the effort, though, on that end. He is trying to be a better defender, and again, that's half the battle. I thought he did a good job getting in the paint. I thought he did a good job getting shots off, kind of being a kind of calming force. And again, that's not always the case with Cole. But he's doing the right things and did a lot of the right things in this game. Again, just willing to put his body on the line several times in this one. Just a really solid game from him. The Orlando Magic beat the Toronto Raptors 111-99. They're now on a 3-game win streak. Again, just a really impressive win for the Orlando Magic. They will face the Atlanta Hawks to close their homestand. It is now officially a winning homestand for the Orlando Magic. We'll talk a little bit more about what this game means for the team moving forward coming up here in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our pals at LinkedIn. Look, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Look, we all have a LinkedIn. Our parents made us get one. It's one of the largest professional social networks out there. So if you're looking to hire, tap into that market of job seekers, of potential employees, of potential coworkers with LinkedIn Jobs. All you have to do is add your job and the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So, I think you don't want to overblow a 3-game win streak. It's both something that is rare for this team and something that is something that's rare for this team. It hasn't happened since February 2021, which was before the trades that sent Nikola Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Evan Fournier out of Orlando. But it's something that you don't want to be rare. You always have a 24-hour rule. You celebrate it for 24 hours, and you get back to work. Magic practice are off today. They practice Tuesday. It's all about consistency, and that's been the theme of the week. Is consistency. It's this mythical thing of doing the same thing every single day. And for young teams, that's really tough because they don't know what they're experiencing. Now that the Magic have won a few games and have shown some things on tape, they're really good teams, and they play a really good team on Friday and Sunday against Boston. The really good teams are going to figure it out, are going to present new challenges to this team. And so, like Mosley said after the game, this is really about growth. Look, this season is about development and growth. Winning is a byproduct of that. And you want to win more, obviously, and you want to see and feel what this team's going to look like when they start winning. And look, they won, and they've won impressively these last 3 games. You want winning to be a little bit more mundane, but that's going to be a process and a growth process that happens, not necessarily this year, but throughout the next few years. This Magic team needed to feel this. They need to see this success, and I know I've talked about a little bit that you worry at the beginning of the season that if you don't have success early, you lose some of the buy-in, and I do give this team credit. They have been really bought into what Coach Mosley is teaching. While fans have questioned a lot of things about it, I don't think the team has. I think the team understands that they have to execute and work a little bit more. And as Franz Wagner said after Friday's game, this game showed that if we do what the coaches are telling us, it will work. And that kind of belief is really, really powerful. And that's what this win streak is right now. We can bottle it up right now and capture all these good feelings because this win streak is belief. It is belief that this can work, that all these pieces can come together, that everything that they're talking about, that the coaches are talking about, that the coaches are trying to build, can develop and push this team forward, that this team can show the maturity and poise late in the game to win it, to put the game, not just win it, but to put the game away as they did Sunday night. That was the most impressive thing to me. I was watching the game at my day job with people in the office, and they saw the Magic were up 12 with like 6 minutes to go, and they're like, "Oh, the Magic are looking good. They're going to win." And I'm just like, I don't know. Let's see how this finishes out. I've seen the Magic lose games like this all the time, and you don't want that defeatist attitude, but the Magic don't have the trust that they can finish these games out. But especially after Friday, when they did let Toronto back in the game, they did let Toronto take the lead. They had to make a big shot at the end to close it out. This is a game where Orlando had the poise to finish. They had the poise to close this out. They had the poise to win relatively comfortably. And so now this team has to find that poise again. They have to absorb that lesson and apply it again and again and again until it becomes habit. And that's really where we're at. That's why these win streaks are important. Because teams can talk about process over results all they want. They can talk about we do the right things, the results will come. And that's great. And that's an approach you have to have. But you need the results too. You need to be able to win a few games. You need to be able to get confirmation that what you're doing is right, that what you're doing can succeed. You need all of that. And the Magic found it. The Magic got it in winning these games against Toronto and taking out the Raptors and taking out the Clippers in these 3 games. They've been shaky. They've had their moments. They've had plenty of learning lessons. But at the end of the day, the Magic got the result. And they did it the way they wanted to do it. They have grown tremendously. They have taken some huge steps over the last week. But now you can't backtrack. Now you can't backslide. Now you can't go back to not showing up against bad teams like they did in the first homestand. You got to bring that same attention to detail, that same effort, that same adaptability at times every single night. You've got to carve out and develop your style. And that's what the Magic are working toward. That's what the Magic are working on, and that's what this season is really about. This is the first time that we can say that this team is experiencing some real success. But that success can go away quickly. Lose to Atlanta, you got 2 games against Boston, another game against Atlanta, and all of a sudden it's, games don't stop. And so you just have to keep building. But this is a good foundation to start from. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey. All of the places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. That's good too for me, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.